We got one good UMP. They have got 1,000. We don't even know if Makarov's intel's any good. Price? Price?
The healthy human mind doesn't wake up in the morning thinking this is its last day on Earth. But I think that's a luxury, not a curse. To know you're close to the end is a kind of freedom. Good time to take inventory. Outgunned, outnumbered, out of our minds on a suicide mission. But the sand and rocks here, stained with thousands of years of warfare, they will remember us for this. Because out of all our vast array of nightmares, this is the one we choose for ourselves. We go forward like a breath exhaled from the earth, with vigor in our hearts and one goal in sight. We will kill him.
Democracy? Democracy. Democracy isn't what these people need. Hell, it's not even what they want. America's been running around the globe trying to install democracies in nation after nation for a century, and it hasn't worked one time. Now, why do you think that is? Because these countries don't have the most basic building blocks necessary to support a democracy. Little things like we ought to be tolerant of those who disagree with us, or we ought to be tolerant of those who worship a different God than us, or that a journalist ought to be able to disagree with a fucking president. And you think you can walk into this country based on fundamentalist religious principles, drop a couple of bombs, topple a dictator, and start a democracy? Give me a break. People don't want freedom. They want rules, boundaries, protections from invaders and from themselves. People need a leader who can both provide the constraints and the support to keep chaos at bay. And you give them that, and they'll follow. And that's where I come in.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Boundaries shift, new players step in, but power always finds a place to rest its head. We fought and bled alongside the Russians. We should have known they'd hate us for it. History is written by the victor, and here I am thinking we'd won. But you bring down one enemy and they find someone even worse to replace him. Locations change, the rationale, the objective. Yesterday's enemies are today's recruits. Train them to fight alongside you and pray they don't eventually decide to hate you for it too.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the stream. Another day. As you see the title, we're going to be exploring American violence and corruption. I see someone already commented right here. Was this you saying that violent crime is down? We'll get into that, though. Not going to start that right now. But in the beginning, I just wanted to start off with basically the headline that's been going around today, the first one with the shooting in Michigan, because what is going on with that? So we're going to figure that out right now. We're going to watch a little bit of Benny Johnson and see what he was saying. So let me share the stream.
But even though we've now seen 4 different people or at a group of people that are systematically under attack, but even though we've now seen 4 different church attacks in the last 2 months, many of them leading to death, there doesn't seem to be anybody connecting the dots here. So we'll do it for you. There is an attack on Christianity. It's happening right now. Active shooter is down. Multiple people shot. Smoke billows out of a Mormon, Michigan church after shooter opens fire. Multiple people have been shot in a Mormon church in Michigan. The active shooter opened fire at the Church of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Sunday morning. Local law enforcement says Grand Blanc Township Police Department said there are multiple victims. The shooter is down. It's unclear whether there are any fatalities. The department has said that the church is on fire in the aftermath of the shooting. There's been an active shooter. Here, there are multiple victims. There is no threat to the public at this time. The church is actively on fire, presumably set on fire by the individual.
So yeah, I don't know if any of you guys saw what happened today. I woke up and I heard about the news and I was just like, that's insane. I don't know much about the situation, but I knew that there's like maybe about 10 who got injured. I know the shooter is dead, and I know one other person is dead, and I believe it's a child. A lot of people don't know where family members are. People were trapped in the building. People got out, and there's not necessarily a clear motive yet, not that I've seen. I guess as the story progresses tonight, we will see, because there was supposed to be a press conference at 8 o'clock, and I'm guessing if in Michigan, so it maybe started an hour ago, so we should start to see clips or something about it surface soon. But let's continue.
Individual who drove their truck into the church and started opening fire on the actual church itself. Here's a photo of the church. Looks like your classic, just Christian church. There, photographs and videos taken on social media show a fire tearing through the church, large plumes of smoke overhead. This is what the church looked like. You can see here the smoke and the fire, the emergency vehicles. Here is also an aerial view you can see of the smoke itself. I mean, it looks like the church is a total loss. I mean, this is a horrific fire. So a gunman, again, drove his truck through the church. Let
me know if you're in the chat
and
comment
then started
if you can
opening
hear
fire
the
and then
audio
set the church ablaze
of the east.
Let's listen to a first-hand account.
Of a giant fire happening at a church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. I talked to someone who just got here from South America. It's his first week in the U.S. Went to church with his mom. His mom is still in the building, and he got out. From what I'm hearing on the ground, a man drove his vehicle into the church and then started shooting, and even shot a little girl in the back, and she is at the hospital right now. The shooter has been neutralized, but that's all I know at the moment. Everyone within a 30-minute radius has responded to the scene.
Yeah. Cash Patel and Dan Bongino saying that the FBI is there on site. FBI responding to Grand Blanc, Michigan. This is some of the footage on site. Looks absolutely awful. We're tracking the horrific shooting fire set. So Cash Patel is saying it was a fire set at an LDS church in Grand Blanc, Michigan.
Yeah, the dude quite literally drove his truck to the side of the building. All I saw was a white truck in the side of the building with 2 American flags in the back. I'm not sure if they reported who the shooter is yet, but I'll look it up while we're on the stream and see if I can find it. But yeah, he drove his truck into the wall. Apparently there was some sort of explosive, and then he just started opening fire on people.
Agents are there on scene. Violence in a place of worship, cowardly criminal act, and our prayers with the victims. This terrible tragedy. Photos of the horrific event. They found bombs now in the truck located nearby. Was this a planned attack? Well, obviously, Skinner and Grand Blanc. Possible bombs found near the church. Fire where multiple people are shot. You can see here. This looks like new gunman crashed a truck into the Mormon church and set it ablaze. This looks like the truck that was crashed in. I mean, it's not in a parking lot. This is all breaking right now. We have the federal government responding. Christianity is under attack. Yes, obviously. An IED has just been pulled from inside of a truck at the Michigan church where the shooter shot up and then lit it on fire. Goodness gracious. Kamala Harris last night, we must light the fire. Goodness. Just perfect timing there. Shooter in Michigan drove a truck through the church and immediately started shooting churchgoers, and then the shooter set the church on fire. There are 10 victims. Conditions are unknown at this time. Again, there was a shooter that did something similar to a Baptist church in Michigan, drove their truck, or it was the shooter trying to shoot the church, and then a deacon drove his truck over the shooter. This happened just a month ago. Of course, there was also the Minneapolis shooting where a transgender radical opened fire on children praying at mass.
Yeah, that shooting was pretty sad too. Apparently, there's supposed to have been about like 3 or 4 different shootings in the last 24 hours, or just mass casualty events. And we're going to try to explore all of them today. I'm going to make sure he starts talking about other stuff that we're going to get on later, but let me make sure he's not talking about that.
Catholic Church. Mormon Church remains on fire in Grand Blanc, Michigan. You can see the police responding here.
Yeah, he does.
The sheriff confirms multiple victims. Let's listen.
The shooter is down. We do have multiple victims. The entire church is on fire, and we're working with fire and all those things that happen during an active shooter training. This is a dynamic scene. So the time where we are right now, there's going to be more updates. Just know that there's a lot of things that are happening that we are not able to communicate just because of the work that needs to be done.
Okay, this is what the sheriff is saying. 11 wounded, including kids, in mass shooting in the Grand Blanc Township Mormon Church building set ablaze.
Apparently, one kid got shot in the back, but we're going to move on to this next video because right now we're exploring the topic of just the violence that's been going around lately. So we're going to watch this video. Hello, Tina. Let's see if I can type fast. We're going to watch this video of Melanie King. It's about the Portland stuff. I don't know if you know what's been going on there. I'm not muted. Okay. So the stuff in Portland, it's been like I guess they were saying Antifa mobs or just maybe mobs of people who were upset about the ICE facility there. They've been going there every single day for like 100 nights straight. And they've just been protesting and getting in the way of ICE vehicles. At one point, they were throwing stuff at the windows, and so the government facility decided to board up the windows, right? And then the city was like, no, you need to unboard them. But then the city also will not send out police, even as the citizens of the neighborhood have been complaining about noises, drums, loudspeakers all through the night, even though there's a city ordinance to where you can't do that and it would be a noise violation, but yet the city cops aren't coming. And I had a video I watched the other day. I can't find it, but so there was reporters from Seattle. They went down there and they were just videotaping, just minding their own business. And the reporters kept yelling at them, screaming at them, getting in their face and whatnot. They got on video of them getting attacked and maced by the reporters, them chasing them down. They had to defend themselves. They called the police, and the police made them walk down the block just to come speak to them. They didn't come to the scene. They made them walk down the block. Imagine that. They won't go right in front of the building, but then now they're upset when when Donald Trump says, oh, yeah, we're going to send in the National Guard. And this isn't like the DC one where they're going to be on the streets and patrolling and doing other things. Like, they're just going to be at the government building, I'm pretty sure. And people are upset. But the local police haven't done anything about it the past 100 days. Just think about that. That's 100 days. So I just don't understand why people act like it's such a crazy thing when, yeah. But let's see.
From toddler tantrums to full-blown street warfare, screaming at cops, rioting for months, and proving Democrats just thrive in chaos.
Holy He's trying to shoot me. Look at you, David. I think.
Get out of here.
My thing is like, hold on. If this is supposed to be so peaceful, why do they have to come out with gas masks and umbrellas to hide their faces and masks? If you're just going to go there and be peaceful and not disrupt things, why do you have to hide yourself? Is it because the government's corrupt, or you know you're going to do some stuff out there that you don't want to be seen for? Because that's what I want to know. If the government's corrupt, then just come out and say it. Give a good explanation. You should be able to come out with your face and say that, and if something happens to you, then we know. But no, they're out there tearing stuff up. Try not to cuss. They're just tearing stuff up. The mainstream liberal media will not report on this, so we'll see. It's so hard to say that fast. Mainstream liberal media. I don't know how people say that so fast.
You're not going to believe what happened. Tell me everything. I'll show you on Monday.com. So I started the biggest initiative
Homeland Security has done. The Department of Homeland.
The video I watched before, sorry, they clipped it. Give me a second. This dude right here was the one screaming, "Shoot the ICE." You know, we've been on this free speech stuff. That right there is an example that's not free speech. You can't just say shoot a police officer. You can't just be that dumb. But since there's no police presence and the federal officers are just going to protect their area and not really try and walk out there too much unless it gets too crazy, they can just stand out there saying dumb stuff like that and nothing happens. So it's just like, you can't just scream out. You just can't scream that.
Homeland Security has done. The Department of Homeland Security put out a hit list directed at Democratic members of Congress, Democratic governors, and Democratic officials. It's a hit list saying to crazies all across the country, target these people. And so, no, we're not going to be lectured by the Department of Homeland Security. Take your hit list down.
Get back! Get back! Get back!
Police have observed criminal activity, including assault
They
and criminal
are fighting
mischief,
people.
and will be making targeted arrests. Do not interfere with police action. Failure to adhere to this order may subject you to citation or arrest. If necessary, crowd control measures, including impact munitions or other physical force, may also.
I just have a question. You guys can answer in the chat if you want. Does this at all look peaceful? Like, why would they be having to be saying that over loudspeaker if it was just peaceful? Everyone out there is okay. I don't even vote over here in New Zealand. Honestly, at this point, I kind of agree with you because I mean, they want them in there either way. And when the governors necessarily, I mean, so we can say two things are true at the same time. The governors do have a problem, but they also hate Trump so much that they don't want the help. And Trump knows they have a problem, but he also is so petty and has an ego that he wants to get his way and his say. So both of them are playing hardball, but like you just said right there in the chat, I think he knows just sending ICE into a city or doing anything is going to cause problems, so he's going to have more exert and control. I do believe that's probably that is true at the same time. But it's like, what do we do? Because it's also hard when one side just disagrees, just to disagree, which is a true statement. But yeah, I do agree with what you said.
You are directed to move away from the ICE facility, move to the north.
The National Guard is heading to Portland, Oregon after a massive spike in violent crime, especially aimed at federal officers, and after over 100 days of people protesting outside the ICE facility. For 100 days, people have been outside with loud noises, loud music, people protesting in front of the ICE facility. The people in this area, the neighbors, are fed up with it. The city officials are doing nothing to stop it. So the federal government is coming in, and President Trump has said enough is enough. We're sending in the National Guard. President Trump has told the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to provide all necessary troops to protect the war-ravaged Portland, as this ICE facility has been
I know you're always in
by Antifa and
direct
other
these
groups.
chats, Tina.
Trump is calling these people
You can be a moderator
and saying that
already.
These people are getting paid. JD Vance said, "It's time we as a government look after the American people. Stop looking after protesters. Stop protecting the protesters who are destroying cities all over America." President Trump is stepping in. He said, "We're done." He's sending in the National Guard to Portland, Oregon.
I know. I was like, oh, it's Tina. I need my first mod. But the thing with this Portland, Oregon situation, it really has not been on the news. And I'm going to find some like smaller creator clips because I want you guys to see. It's been wild over there at that ICE facility. There was at one point they took a stop sign and they were trying to ram it into the wall. Like, I don't know to what end, and they were trying to smash windows. Like, it got that serious. So I want to find that to show you, so I'm not just making it up. It's been hostile lately, and apparently there's houses across the street.
All right, y'all, quick pause, because if you're watching this, you're a liberal trigger.
I know all you guys don't care about freaking conservative
out loud.
merge, so
that's a
not all of you care. So let's
the movement. Adults, or
see what she has to
say, oversized toddlers shrieking, F you.
She's gonna say some pretty harsh takes, though.
That's not protest. That's a tantrum with a megaphone. And in between the profanity, they sprinkle in love yourself. It's the kind of contradictory nonsense that only makes sense in a Democrat-run city. And what are they raging against exactly? ICE officers doing their jobs, enforcing federal law. These mobs act like immigration enforcement is optional, like it's some kind of moral crime to stop human traffickers, cartel mules, and repeat offenders. Meanwhile, Democrat leaders promise to resist at all costs. Resist what? Order, safety, protecting the innocent? Yeah, because they thrive on lawlessness. ICE has already expanded crackdowns in Chicago and across the nation because crime has gotten completely out of control in these blue cities where Democrats treat criminals like VIPs. So when you see these meltdowns, don't mistake it for passion. It's just degeneracy, I think, dressed up as activism. And if you think that circus was wild, wait until you see what happened in Portland. Over 100 straight.
Right now, she's going to give a pretty good couple of videos of it, but I want to show you guys more. But it was getting wild, let me tell you that. And keep in mind, this isn't like, oh my goodness, it all just happened today. It's been going on for 100 days straight. Did you hear what he said? listen to what the guy on the microphone just said. It's coming up like right now. Can you hear him? I think he said we're gonna keep deporting them like we do every damn day. I don't know if he just said that, but that was close. I think it might get worse and worse at night. I'm not sure though. They got the trash can, y'all.
Stay out of areas and driveways to allow for vehicular traffic. Remain on the sidewalk or across the street. Anyone who includes a trespass on federal property is subject to arrest.
They're really bringing up the trash can for cover. Look at the cops like, stop.
We've already had ongoing operations with ICE
goodness.
in Chicago and throughout Illinois and other states, making sure that we're upholding our laws. But we do intend to add more resources to those operations.
That's DHS Secretary Noem confirming plans to expand ICE crackdowns in major cities across the nation as Democrat leaders vow to resist at all costs.
But yeah, I do have all these people. You know why? Because we're fucking done with people like you. I have an opinion.
Honestly, I hope I hope I can show all of this. I don't know. Yeah, that looks crazy to keep showing. Hold on. We go. Whoop, whoop. As you can see, it looks like they were trying to take the flag. Maybe they were. It looks like there were counter protesters. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised. It's going to be, honestly, by the end of the year, I think it's going to be like the summer of 2020. People are going to be out pissed every day. I bet half of these people barely even realize why they're here. They're just there. Something to do. Cause trouble. Get out the house, I guess. Well, it's like a block party. They're playing rap music. Like, why are they playing rap music like it's a block party? Oh, this was wild. I just don't really. Do these people not realize that? I know, Mikey. And like, why? Because they're hiding stuff. That's why if you caught the stream yesterday, I told you guys everything, and then I showed you what was happening behind the scenes, and I said, this is why. Especially when we all know a lot of this stuff has to do with war and money. And that's why I ended it yesterday. Yeah. And that's why I ended it yesterday with the saying, like, I think a lot of this is connected to our false war. Exactly. We need to. I think a lot of it's connected to what happened in our last war in Afghanistan, and how that didn't go very well. Because if you look at what's happening there, it's scary. And then if you connect the dots, and you think they want to do a mass attack in America, all of a sudden, like, violence and mass violence has just been the norm. You know, it's like, what can happen? How do we know that something big doesn't happen and we don't just go, oh my gosh, it's left or right? You know, what if it's like Al Qaeda, the Taliban, ISIS? We never know. Because immediately when something happens, we go to blaming each side, and it could be something huge. It could be something huge. Exactly. We got to talk about things they don't want us to talk about and just be smart about it. But yeah, let me type your names. What's up, Rich and Mikey? I spelled that so bad. I wasn't looking. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done with this. I just wanted to say, yeah, I didn't mean to pause it, but it's just the level of violence. They'll never understand that. They'll always lose that battle right there. That one right there? No. Who do you consider they, Mikey? Like darker forces, left or right, or other governments? Who's are they?
Police are begging the mob to get back, like they're talking to children who won't leave the playground.
Government?
Except these aren't kids. Those are not children. These are violent agitators who spent over 100 days turning an ISIS
like the shadow
government.
Sorry about the
loud music,
shadow
fires,
government,
assaults,
as in
harassment.
yeah,
You name
like
it, you got
the
it.
ones who have the
Neighbors
money.
were furious, begging for peace. But Portland's Democrat
Yeah, the ones who have the money who
they did nothing. They
don't have to worry
give
about.
a
Sorry,
damn.
I'm sorry, Melanie. You got to be quiet for a second. The ones who have the money and they don't have to necessarily, how do I put it? They don't have to be reelected. They don't have to listen to the word of the people. They listen to people listen to them because they have the money. I think it's them. I just tried I'm trying one of these Zen things so I don't have to get up and smoke. Low-key burns. I don't know if I like it. Oh. Anyways. Does Mikey go on Chris's streams, Tina? I think I've seen him on there. But I just wanted you guys to watch that because they haven't been reporting that for some reason. They haven't been reporting that. But I don't think she has. I don't want to be rude. I want to give her time to speak. I'm sorry. Let's go.
Because in their twisted worldview, protecting rioters, that actually matters more than protecting citizens. Like for over 3 months, Antifa and their friends ran Portland while Democrat leaders played dumb. They let the chaos reign. They wanted it. They let all.
Am I wrong? Cut her off. Am I wrong? But didn't the riots happen in Portland too? Where did George Floyd die? Oh. He died in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But a lot of riots did happen in Portland.
Officers be targeted.
But I'm going to
They
get
let
us to our next video
live in fear.
because we're still
That's
talking
their
about
leadership.
violence.
That's surrender.
Actually,
And
we're
here's
not
the
going
part
to a
Democrats
video.
don't want to admit. When they failed, the Fed stepped in. The National Guard was deployed because
That's true.
somebody had to do what Portland's leadership has refused to do.
And that's the thing, guys. The Portland leadership actually has left that place. Just exposed. But for now, we're going to get into this topic of violence. We're going to kind of explore this Axios article. Is it this one I want to? Sorry. I read through it and now I'm at the bottom of it. Here it is. Zachary Basu. You guys see it, right? I'm just going to go full screen on it because we don't need to see my ugly ass while we do this. The thing with this stream site, add the stage. So it like minimizes the screen, and then I can't see anything. I don't know why it does this. So I like physically can't see right now what is on the screen. I think I just see myself, and I hate it. So you're just going to remove everything right now. You're just going to hear me talk, because right now we are going to read an article. See, this is pissing me off. There we go. All right. So right now we're just going to read an article about, his name is Zachary Basu, and he did a study of left-wing terrorism climbs to a 30-year high. But then he also put some good points about left and right in here. So, but I just figured out midstream why it does that, and it's just because of the screen sharing. So now I know. We don't need to. So let's do it. At the stage. Now you should be able to hear me. Sorry. Let's restart. So we were going over the graph. I was pointing out the bottom here. I was saying that there's been a lot more right-wing violence due to this graph throughout the years, but it's trying to point out what's been going on this year specifically. And that's what we're talking about. But we do acknowledge, because we're not going to sit here and be biased, because there was a lot more right-wing violence through all these years, per this graph from Axios Visuals. So it's the same. But he says, all right. So basically what it's saying is that there's been a lot more left-wing violence this year since Trump has taken office. This is why does it matter? America's domestic terrorism landscape has undergone a remarkable inversion since President Trump took office, as his policies have eased grievances on the far right while intensifying anger on the far left. You guys can hear me now, right? I believe so, because I put myself back on the screen. So we should be good. But what up, DirectD? You should already be a mod in the chat. If you're not, you didn't even add yourself. But you should be able to hear me. What does 5 times mean? Oh, I see what you mean. 25 more times violence. Yeah. But yes, So it says far right has historically been more frequent and more lethal, but plunged dramatically over the first 6 months of 2025. Despite the uptick in high-profile attacks like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, political violence remains rare. Thank you, Mikey. And overwhelmingly opposed by most Americans. So let's read these little data points. Data show the left-wing extremists have carried out 41 attacks since 2016 compared to the 152 from the far right. That's actually kind of crazy. It's a big difference. But with that, we can maybe break down what was going on in the country since 2016. I mean, yeah, that's wild. So can we because around 2016 is when, you know, kind of the MAGA movement got more real. Maybe people were using political violence because they wanted to change. Is that why the left has been like that this year? Because we can all say the left has been very broken. They don't really have a leader. You can say it, the leader, what, Hakeem Jeffries, Kamala Harris, and Chuck Schumer, Pete Buttigieg. Like, who's their leader? Who's coming out and speaking for the party? It just seems like when one person speaks out and has a different way, here comes the mob. But that's another topic we can get on. But is that what's going on? But anyways, left-wing violence has killed 13 people over the past decade, far fewer than the 112 deaths from right-wing violence and 82 jihadists. There have been 82 jihadist attacks since the... You see what I've been saying? What was I just saying like 10 minutes ago? Anyways. But at least 5 left-wing plots or attacks have been already recorded this year compared to just one right-wing attack. I hope it talks about the right-wing one. I want to know. Trump responded to Charlie Kirk's assassination. They did designate Antifa as a domestic terror organization, despite no known links between alleged shooter and the decentralized movement of far left-wing agitators. Even so, if you have done any research on Antifa and if you've learned about the person who wrote the book, I can't speak with this in my mouth. Honestly, I sound like it keeps. So the person who wrote the book for the Antifa handbook, they went on an interview where they were talking about, is violence somewhat acceptable? And they were saying it was. And I guess if we want to watch that, I'll find it, because I don't just like saying things, but I did watch that interview. And they were saying sometimes it's acceptable to fight fascists, especially. Let's go. He said he was going to investigate liberal groups and progressive donors for allegedly funding violent protests. I'll let you guys keep reading. I think that's it behind this. Basically, the guy was saying there has been a bunch of right-wing attacks in the past, which we do have to acknowledge. You can't sit here and say there's not. But there have, this year, been a bunch of left-wing attacks. So we're going to try and figure out why. We're going to try and figure out why. So I'm going to start sharing the next video. I'm just going to restart the share every time. Before I was just going through them, but then it messed up. So I'm not doing that. We ain't doing that. I'm going to do it right. Intros.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have plans this evening?
I guess we'll watch it. It's so dumb.
You okay?
Who are you?
A friend.
Thank you for believing.
Oh my God! All right, we're done.
Tim Miller.
We're done.
So you probably know him from that campaign. Just a reminder of what the Bush family was trying to put inside of the White House. Everybody who worked for the Bushes now works for MSNBC. So just a reminder of exactly what that was. I think that actually becoming politically awake is realizing that George W. Bush and Michelle Obama are like part of the same party, and they like share the same staff. And those people think the same way. And also Tim Miller is also in the Guinness Book of World Records, I think, fighting Harry Sisson for the lowest testosterone level ever known to mankind.
Don't even get me started on Harry. I think it just went to an ad.
Big ideas.
I think that probably more interested in the musings of Tim Miller. But do you think the right, to my producer Dan's point, is
we're gonna get
generalizing
to
the record, the rhetoric, generalizing the accusations after the murder of Charlie, and quite honestly, a continuation of that with what we saw yesterday in Dallas, to indict too big of a scope, too broad of a swath of the left?
No. And I don't understand how anyone could possibly make that rationale. I mean, this is, again, the same party that tried to criminalize MAGA because a couple of grannies waved 25-cent Walmart flags as they looked at the Capitol on January 6th. I mean, like the way that they went ruthlessly after people that weren't even there on January 6th, the way that they threw that net and cast that net. I mean, they went after Donald Trump for incitement when Trump said march peacefully. And it's just like, and now they're going to sit there and say, well, the times when we actually incited violence. Here's a good example. And I actually looked this up. So President Trump eats a bullet, Will. He ate a bullet in Butler. And it was less than a week before an MSNBC pundit was saying it's time for us to put a target on Donald Trump. Back, live, on air.
It's true.
And what you'll constantly find between, as a difference between the left and the right, is that we don't allow that kind of rhetoric. Not only that, we don't allow violence at all. And we kick that out of our party. We disavow it. Whereas the left not only covers it up, in the case of Jimmy Kimmel, but then says to other left-wingers that want to target Trump supporters, we'll cover for you. In fact, we'll blame MAGA for your crimes. So you can get a twofer here. This is why it is so despicable and morally unforgivable what Jimmy Kimmel did. And I have something else for you, Will. You know, I come prepared in these kind of situations. Here is something I call the handy dandy printer paper that I have created a chart. What is this chart from? It is from the DOJ's own data in the year 2023. This is Biden administration data, and this is crime committed by registered Democrats versus crime committed by registered Republicans. As you can see here in the data, Will, there's quite a difference in the parties. This difference is also demonstrated in a voluminous number of polls that show that the Democrat Party, especially younger left-wingers, see political violence as a means to an end and a political tool. This is something that was obviously espoused from the House floor when 58 Democrats refused to disavow violence this past week. And in the aftermath of the murder of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, that was the thing that kind of threw me off, is when they said they refused to disavow the violence. But we didn't really have that situation when it came to the Melissa Hortman. I don't think it was as big of a deal. Because, I mean, she was on the opposite side of them. What if they didn't like her views? What? And then they're like, well, whatever. I'm not going to disavow it because I don't like the person. But I guess we'll have to look up how many voted no for that on the Republican side.
Political assassination of Charlie Kirk, the ICE shooting yesterday, and the transgender slaughter of Catholic school children praying. The response to the left, Will, has not been quiet reflection and prayerful consideration of how they could do better, but instead victim blaming, like Tim Miller just did, and then also more terrorism. They planted bombs on a Fox News local affiliate van.
That did.
They've shot up an ABC news station.
That happened.
Left-wingers have
It's
desecrated
been more than
Charlie
just
Kirk
5
memorials.
incidents.
There's like a dozen assault
going on.
charges for left-wingers who have attacked Charlie Kirk mourners. Tens of thousands of leftists have celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder online. And, of course, you had Predator George Zinn, who miraculously was standing there when Charlie Kirk was shot, put his arms in the air, and said, it was me, allowing for the actual shooter to get away. And I still have no proper explanation for why he did that. He's in custody right now. They found a bunch of predator material on his phone. That's why I call him that. You can go look it up.
He's a PDF.
And that has been the response from the left.
PDF.
And so, yes, we have a major problem with left-wing terrorism in this nation. And yes, it is organized and centrally funded. And yes, as we just heard on my program a second ago, of Trish McLaughlin from DHS, that this was a copycat of Charlie Kirk. And so this is the sum of all fears, Will, is that there's going to be copycats. The guy that shot up the ICE agency was searching for the Charlie Kirk shot, was searching for how the gunman did it. These were some of the searches leading up to his attack on the ICE facility, doing the same thing, carving left-wing iconography on his bullets and so on.
Yeah, all that's a little still sketchy, but it is weird. But let's get off of this story because we've just been on it for so long at this point. Let's get on to the next story that we should explore today. And it's probably going to be, let's do the James Comey story. Because that's been interesting. It's more the James Comey, Letitia James, and Adam Schiff, but we're going to get into that. So let's do it. We're going to watch MSNBC. Sorry, guys. If that bothers you.
The Trump campaign and a hostile foreign government. Look, a full investigation may turn out to mean there's nothing there, or a full investigation may mean there's been criminal activity. But either way, every American, Democrat, Republican, Independent, everybody should care about getting the right answer. We need a special prosecutor, and we need him now.
A few years later.
That was her talking about Trump.
This DOJ has every single email, every text message, every communication. I believe likely he will be found guilty.
Oh, well, that's interesting because
I think he likely committed a crime.
Wait, what?
Boy. So we got to talk about the liberal media outrage over James Comey, the former disgraced FBI director, being charged with making false statements and obstruction of a congressional seating after being indicted by a federal grand jury. Now, we have to follow up on the liberal media outrage because the liberal media has been exposed once again.
That's what I'm thinking too, Tina.
Hypocrisy when it comes to how they
it's like we're watching them unfold.
Facing,
It's like we're watching the left unfold right before our eyes. And I'm gonna go into some other things about James Comey. I have some of some legal documents we're gonna try and read after we watch some of this.
Charges due to the weaponization of the DOJ by the Biden administration and also Democrats at the state level. Okay, they weaponized the government to go after President Trump. They told us, no. See, you don't understand. This is not weaponization. And the reason why is because we have this whole system in place, a grand jury system, a trial system, and that is what prevents the system from being weaponized, right? So it's okay for the DOJ to clearly go after President Trump, again, because he is the enemy of Democrats, of the people in charge of the country. That's totally fine. It's totally okay because the system is going to work out in a way in which if he is guilty, then he'll be found guilty. But if he's not guilty, then he'll be found not guilty, and it doesn't matter. Now,
yeah, we're going to eventually win this. We're going to get into a video of this guy. I don't remember his name. But he quite literally said it was okay for Trump to be prosecuted because he felt he was guilty. But then it's like, then how is it not okay for anyone else to say they should be prosecuted because they feel they were guilty? I mean, they're just talking in circles around themselves right now.
Brush aside claims of weaponization when Biden.
It's hard not to seem like it's hard not to seem like you're for one side when the other side just seems so disorientated right now.
Democrats were in charge. Now all of a sudden that doesn't work anymore.
He seems to be kneecapping his own prosecutors here.
Well, look, that's the thing. There's a system.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Lee Wilson.
Leave us alone.
Dance artist. I have so many projects coming out.
And the system includes grand juries and juries of ordinary Americans who get in a room and make decisions. He can't order people to be indicted, and he can't order people to be convicted. He can express his opinion. In the case of Comey, grand jurors in a very liberal jurisdiction got together and decided that the evidence did warrant charges. Comey will go to trial, and then a jury of his peers will decide whether he is guilty or not. The president can't do anything about that. He can make commentary on it. I'm not sure if it's wise or not wise to do that, or if it will matter at all. But ultimately, I'll just say what Jim Comey said when Donald Trump was indicted. It's a good day for the rule of law because we have a system, and the system is in place, and the system is working as it was designed, with average, ordinary Americans making decisions about how our laws will be enforced.
But you said that he can't actually order the indictment of someone. I think he just proved that he could. I think what he did, the series of events that took place here, we have to actually be clear about what happened, right? He tried to pressure Eric Siebert at the Eastern District of Virginia to pursue this prosecution. He did not. The U.S. prosecutors there said they did not see enough evidence. So he forces him out. He publicly declares to Pam Bondi.
That wasn't exactly what he was saying. Sorry, now I feel like I have to go to the document sooner than I wanted to, because that's not what was reported to be said. It was reported to be said that Eric was slow walking the investigation instead of pushing it through, and that they had more than enough evidence to charge. If I can't find this in like 5 seconds, then here it goes. So now we're sharing this one real quick so I can. It was reported by Catherine Herridge. He said, I understand the indictment was ready to go. I am told all the evidence was there, not a shaky criminal case, as characterized some media reporting. Critics of former U.S. Attorney Eric Siebert alleged he was blocking or slow walking the charges. Interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan removed the blocks. It revealed Comey's role authorizing media leaks. At least one involved classified information. And what the classified information they're talking about is some of his briefings with Trump, like handwritten notes or recordings, through other subordinates or through his Columbia Law School professor Rich with SGE, which is a special government employee, which means they can handle certain tasks. They may have a certain level of security clearance, but they're not privy to all things. We can look at this document if I can zoom in on it. I don't think I can. So it's kind of useless if I can't zoom in on it. Yeah, I can't zoom in on it. So maybe I can save the image. Let's just see. I want to try and zoom in on it. What should I use? Photos? I just got this computer, so I don't know. Oh, we can zoom. Or can you guys not see this? Well, I guess I can read it. Let's see the important parts. Richmond is a Columbia University law professor and a close friend of Comey. They met while working as assistant United States attorneys, AUSAs, in the Southern District of New York City, or New York. The New York Times article contains several quotes attributed to Daniel Richmond, which defended Comey's decision to make unilateral public statements with a mid-year exam investigation. In 2015, Comey instructed the FBI to hire Richmond as a special government employee and to grant him a top secret clearance. That's what I was telling you about. You can have clearances still. With access to sensitive compartmented information, SCI, FBI records indicated Richmond was hired to work on going dark matters, in parentheses. I don't know what the hell that means. Again, we're reading a damn government document here. FBI-HJC 119-SL-000060. Date 9/8/2021. Report closing letterhead memorandum. Investigation Arctic Haze. And I wrote that down earlier. so I can talk about that specific. And I guess I can't find it. That's crazy. You write things down to remember. Oh, there. So Arctic Haze was basically, they're saying, was a plot to leak media documents to try and smear Donald Trump. But let's continue. The investigation revealed Comey also hired Richmond so Comey could discuss sensitive matters, including classified information, with someone outside of FBI's regular leadership. Comey also used Richmond as a liaison to the media on several occasions. Richmond spoke with the media without consultation with FBI or DOJ's offices of public affairs. Richmond contacted journalists to correct stories critical of Comey. The FBI, and to shape future press coverage. Okay, that was a bad sentence. Richmond contacted journalists to correct stories critical of Comey, the FBI, and the FBI to shape future press coverage. Richmond did this both when he was an SGE, special government employee, and after he resigned from the FBI. And then it says at the bottom, the investigation revealed Richmond had a source for Michael Smith, one of the reporters credited with writing the article at the issue. In the New York Times, since at least 2008, Richmond first spoke with Smith regarding an investigation into illegal activity in sports. Prior to Richmond becoming an SGE, Smith visited Richmond. And then it keeps going, but they don't have the rest of that document. But that's what I just read you right there. I read you everything under the... You probably can't even see anymore. Oh, that's stupid. I was just reading you the government document. Let me share the screen again. We're going to go back to the video. Okay, we got it. We got it, StreamYards. Okay, let's go back to the video. But I was just reading you the government document talking about how that guy was just saying another thing, so I decided to read the other side, and we can make a decision for ourselves. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. You guys pick what you want to believe. Don't let me tell you.
You need to target these political enemies, specifically labeling James Comey. And then right after that, installs Lindsay Halligan, a former insurance lawyer with no prosecutorial experience, to go in there. And then within days, Comey's indicted even after rank and file prosecutors.
This is the narrative
they gave her
that was the narrative the government document was saying that I just read to you.
So I don't think this is just the process playing
out. So it's just funny how there's a whole government document that kind of explains what could be the narrative, and then this is the narrative he comes out with because of what's been going on. So I want you guys to see both. Make your own decision. Like I said, I'm not responsible for what you think. You got to think for yourself around here. I'm just giving you the information, trying not to be so biased, even though I don't really agree with the left right now. So if you feel unbiased, then whatever. Make a case for it, and we can talk about it.
Abusing his power and directing a prosecution of a political enemy.
You said we have to be very clear about what happened, and then you left out the most critical part, where a prosecutor has to go into a grand jury, present the evidence, and make the case why charges are warranted. And the grand jury has to agree with that. In this case, they did. Now, I don't know if he'll be convicted or not, but you can't leave out and deny that there's a critical step where average, ordinary Americans get put in a room and they ultimately have to decide, does a case go or does it not go? And then they will decide whether you're guilty or whether you're not guilty. That is an important part of the process that he cannot really alter or change. I'm stunned to hear you say we're now worried about normalizing this kind of thing. We had an attorney.
You are about to do right now. Let's hear it.
I'm about to tell you what happened in the state of New York when the Democratic Attorney General ran an entire political campaign promising not to uphold justice, but to prosecute one person, Donald Trump. And I didn't hear a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth among Democrats about normalizing the weaponization of justice. That chart you put up there, my question is...
That's the thing. it's like, did we forget what happened last year? Around like January, February, where things just started. It's like going at Trump. Trump indicted for this. Trump indicted for that. This Trump affiliates this. They just put a whole bunch of Trump employees on a RICO charge. A RICO charge. They're the mob? Okay. My thing is, they're sitting here on live television saying they're acting like this is like out of the ordinary. This has never happened to anyone before. The right's out of their mind. If anything, you just need to be saying, yes, the Democrats did this before, and yeah, the right are being hypocrites and doing the same thing. All right, cool. Case closed. Both sides did the same thing. But to sit here on national TV and act like they didn't do this not less than a year ago? Whoa. So dumb. You can't tell someone, yeah, we did this to you, but you can't come after us. Like, they don't have to listen to that anymore. You're not in power. And the people are, and obviously we can look up the polls of their approval rating. The people don't even approve of them. It's like 52 to 30 something of Democrats disagree with Democrats in the way things are going. They're underwater. And then they want to crap on Trump. Yeah, yours is only like 39. Well, at least he's above 39. They're almost under 39. Like, come on.
If they didn't do anything wrong, I'm not certain anything bad's going to happen to them. Bolton, that started under Joe Biden. James, I mean, these people that you put on the screen, they may have something that needs to be looked at. But don't you have trust in the processes, grand juries? This is how the system works. And I don't have any. And Jim Comey, he's going to.
Okay, so it says James Comey's been indicted. Letitia James is under investigation for mortgage fraud. Adam Smith is under investigation for mortgage fraud. Jim Bolton, I don't know about Jack. I don't know about Jack. Jim Bolton's under investigation for classified documents leak. Mark Kelly, I don't even know. I don't know about him. Oh, Adam Schiff, I think he's investigated for the Russia hoax and January 6th committee. Mark Milley might be investigated for the Russia hoax as well. Same with John Brennan. I don't even know who Chris Curbs is, and I don't know who Miles Taylor is. But Department of Homeland Security, CISA, I don't know about the last two. But the rest of them, yeah. She's probably going to get actually indicted for that. I don't know about Adam Schiff, but the evidence looks the same for him. Hers is freaking damning. Jack Smith, that whole case was a shamble. John Bolton, they just raided his house, and they did find classified documents. All of these ones I don't know, but I will find out, and I will be talking about them soon. So don't think I'm just going to leave it there.
I think it's the abuse.
He's going to get a day in court in front of a jury of his
the system, and what we're talking about is the abuse of the system.
What abuse beyond the idea of prosecuting people when Democrats were going after Trump? Were you worried about abuse?
Because I firmly believe
this is the line.
Trump broke the law and he was indicted.
Do you think the 34 charges that are cited all the time were?
Look at that.
When Democrats were going after Trump, were you worried about abuse?
Because I firmly believe that Donald Trump broke the law.
So he firmly believed Donald Trump broke the law. So all those names I just showed you, let me just play straw man here. Let's just say I firmly believe all of them broke the law. And after I just told you I don't know about a lot of them, but I firmly believe it. They should be prosecuted, right?
He was indicted.
Or am I just reading that wrong?
34 charges that are cited all the time were good charges?
But let me just say this. I mean, you just sat here and talked about the process. You gave me a lecture about the grand jury system. Well, Donald Trump actually went to trial and got convicted. Correct. That is the process he went through. And let me just explain to you the difference in the abuse and the difference in departments of justice. I mean, we can go all the way back to Republicans having a fit when JFK tried to nominate RFK, his brother, to be attorney general. But I can actually go back to Joe Biden. Joe Biden indicted his own son. Did he deserve to be?
To sit here and say Joe Biden indicted his own son when we all know, when we went back and you read the documents, they were trying to leave out a lot of stuff. There's a reason why they had to go back to trial and he had to take a new deal. So why come on media and just lie about that? He indicted his own. Gosh, and then what about all the damn pardons that just came out of it?
Yes.
He indicted his own son, but then again, he said he wasn't going to pardon his son or his family or anyone, and he also did that. Come on. Like, I can rewind it. It's not like I'm just making this up out of thin air. He's literally saying this stuff. I can't make it up. You can't make this shit up. He pardoned him.
But he indicted his own son.
You're saying it. You're saying the White House was directing. You're saying the
Look,
White
that's
House
what the girl said after. Well, he did pardon him. It doesn't matter if you. Yeah, I'm gonna let my DOJ pardon, my DOJ investigate my son, but then I'm just gonna pardon him at the end of the day. So does it matter? Was it just a show? Why haven't we talked about that? Everyone talks about the January 6th pardons, but like, I don't need a pardon going back to 2014. I don't know about you guys, but if you needed a pardon going back to 2014, what were you doing from 2014 to 2025? What did you do? You just want to be safe? Just wait, you don't want them to find out about a traffic ticket? Really? Or something like that? You ran a red light, you didn't pay your ticket? Like, I can't think of anything that would need a pardon to go back that far. Anything that's not like petty, like, oh, I didn't pay I didn't pay these tickets, and I've been driving illegally for the last whatever. So then you get a pardon. But it's like, okay, that's fine. But it's like, so what did you do? But then we also know you were a business Mongol. You did a lot of weird work in Ukraine, a lot of weird work in China. Why would you need a pardon if you were an outstanding citizen? Anyways, I digress. Let's go.
Biden indicted his own son. Did he deserve to be indicted? Yes. But he indicted his own son.
You're saying it. You're saying
just asking questions.
You're saying the White House was directing indictments. But you're saying they were directing indictments. That's a revelation.
Have one person speak at a time. What were you saying?
Yeah. So you see now you heard that. Okay, I want you guys to understand what I've been hearing in the mainstream level media as to why is it that they did not care at all when Letitia James and Alvin Bragg were running around, literally campaigning and going after President Trump, right? Weaponizing the system against the former president, okay? When the Biden DOJ weaponized the DOJ against President Trump. Well, hey, ultimately, we believe that Trump was guilty, right? Trump was guilty. So, hey, it's okay because we believe that he's guilty. So therefore, investigating him, right? Investigating your political opponents is okay when we do it because we believe that our political opponents are guilty, right? But when it happens to us, it's not okay because we don't believe that our political allies are guilty, right? We don't believe they're guilty. So therefore, it's not okay for you to investigate us. And the grand jury indictment doesn't mean anything because it's easy. It's super easy to get an indictment, right? You can indict a ham sandwich, right? Again, none of this logic that they're using now, okay, applied when Democrats were in power, right? They were telling us that no, because of the system, because there's a grand jury system, okay, a jury of his peers. They said that, hey, the prosecution's evidence warrants this potentially going to trial, right? Because of that, that means that the system is not weaponized. And don't worry about the costly legal expenses that President Trump had to go through in order to fight these charges. No, don't worry about that. That's just what the part of the process. You just got to do it, right? Now, all of a sudden, they're concerned about Comey having to go through this expensive process of defending himself in court.
Maybe Comey will end up walking away from this, but this will still be expensive. It will be stressful. It could ruin Comey's life for a time. And it seems to be foreshadowing if Comey's now, who could be next?
It's going to be expensive. It's going to be stressful. wow, it's not like they're running a presidential campaign and the whole world practically hates them. And they got to show up for court and take mug shots. It's not like they're not making his kids subpoena. Not everything Trump does is great, but it's just that the double standard. I'm not going to sit there and just ignore it because I have disagreements with a person. I don't even disagree with them that much. So I'm really not going to ignore it. So it's just lots of money. Didn't the Supreme Court just say that $500 million was too much of a punishment? Like, why were you trying to take 500? Was it 500 million or billion? Someone let me know. I think it might have actually been billion. I'm ready to like scream at my mom and ask her. I'm pretty sure she would know. Fairly sure it was 500 billion. I just hate not knowing. It was $500 million. So, oh my goodness. $500 million. People just got that on hand. These motherfuckers just got $500 billion on hand.
Right. I think that's the punishment. It's the punishment James Comey has to have.
Bear, let me get some.
It'll take a lot of
no, Bear, you ain't just gonna walk up in here and say that. Let me get some, bro.
Time and
let me find a fake indictment.
Emotional investment. Theoretically, his liberty will be at stake in this case, and that's what. Look, the Justice Department, a federal indictment is nothing to sneeze at. It is a life-changing event, and this is clearly punishment directed at James Comey. I mean, it couldn't be more explicit because that's what Donald Trump demanded in so many words in that message to Pam Bondi, the Attorney General. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. It's basically saying, go indict this guy. Find something to indict this guy on.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is base for...
Yeah, so again, I just found how none of this stuff applied to President Trump when he was going through the same process. None of these people care. None of these people care when President Trump's allies were going through the same process. All of these people made the argument that, again, grand jury did it, therefore it is legitimate. The investigations are legitimate because they may have committed crimes. We believe they committed crimes. So, hey, we need investigations. Investigations are totally warranted, right? But now all of a sudden, the roles are reversed, right? Or they perceive the roles as being reversed, and they want to cry foul, right? I just find this to be absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating, okay? Now, these people, again, are assuming that Comey is not guilty. They're coming out here and they're claiming that it is likely that Comey is going to be found not guilty. But
I guess we can look at more of these tweets. Did I delete them like an idiot? Wow. Well, we can look at this right here and then. I don't think there's any even like volume on it, but we'll look at this right here. What is it saying? Falsely stating to a U.S. senator during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he, James B. Comey, had not authorized anyone at the FBI to be an anonymous source in the news reports. Count 2, obstruction Congress, 18 U.S.C. 1505. Mm-mm-mm. 18 U.S.C. 1505 is a federal statute that criminalizes the obstruction of proceedings before the U.S. government departments, agencies, and congressional committees. It is a key part of the U.S. federal related to obstruction of justice, extending protections against interference from the judiciary to the executive branches. The statute has two main parts, an omnibus clause and a specific, what the fluff? All right. This is a broad provision forbids any person from corruptly influencing, obstructing, or impeding any proceeding before a department of agency of the United States, either House of Congress or the committee of either Congress or any joint committee of Congress. That was such a weird statement. To be convicted under this clause, the government must prove 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. A pending proceeding. There must be a proceeding underway. I mean, I guess we can. Okay. Next one. Defendant's awareness. The defendant must have been aware of the pending proceeding. Granted, he was the head of the FBI. I'm sure he knew something. Corrupt intent. The defendant must have corruptly endeavored to influence, obstruct, or impede the proceeding. The term corruptly has been defined as acting without an improper purpose, which can include making false or misleading, destroying, altering, or concealing information. Okay. Did corruptly endeavor to. All right, whatever. I don't want to. Can you guys see this, or do I need to? I'm pretty sure I can, but that's so much. I don't want to mess up the stream. In or about September 30th, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant, James B. Comey, did willfully and knowingly make a material, false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement in a matter within the judicial jurisdiction of the legislative branch government of the United States by falsely stating to a U.S. senator during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he, James B. Comey Jr., had not authorized anyone on or about September. I'm just make sure I'm not reading the same crap again. On or about September 30th, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant, James B. Comey Jr., did corruptly endeavor to influence, obstruct, and impede the due and proper exercise of power of inquiry under which investigation was held before the Senate Judiciary Committee by making false and misleading statements before that committee. All in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1502, and they're giving him 2 counts of that. So that means they're saying he lied twice. So let me go back and find the damn video we were watching. I have so many up, but I will find it. And I will, just kidding. This is not taken. All right. Oh my, what'd I do with it? Oh no. I think I deleted it. Let me go back. I hope it's this page. It's not. History. Sorry, guys. No, it's not this one. This sucks having to have all these dang apps open. You never know which one you're going to close. But I know who the video was by, so let me just go on here. Go find the video. Click. And it'll be on my history right here. So give me like 2 seconds. Because we're not done with it. Here we go. I don't know what happened to it. I pressed stop sharing, and I guess I might have actually just exit out of the dang jump. But we're good. Ready? Ready? So go.
Breaks, right? On this idea that Comey is not going to be found guilty. And of course, the MSNBC panel didn't like this very much because Michael Cohen is the same guy who basically said that Letitia James and Adam Schiff also will be found guilty as well, too, eventually once they are charged and prosecuted for their crime.
Look at what he's doing right now, for example, with Tish James, Look at what he's doing with Adam Schiff. And I'm going to make another bold prediction here on
a lot of predictions at 8 o'clock in the morning.
There's a lot of here. Take these notes because mark my words, politically, they're both doomed. All right. I'm telling you right off the bat, this is a political suicide for both Tish James and Adam Schiff.
More of a political homicide.
Well, yeah, but how are they going to be? How are they politically doomed if Senator Schiff comes from a blue state? Attorney General Tish James is here in a blue state. They are elected by the people. How are they doomed politically?
It'll be gerrymander. It will end up being somehow. They will end up being held races. Yes, but they will also be held accountable. Mark my words, they will be held accountable for the crimes that they are now looking at. That's Ed Martin who's looking at him. And I know so many people are going to say, "Oh my God, Michael Cohen is like bending the knee to Trump." No, what I'm doing is I'm actually telling you the reality.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Do any of us actually really know whether or not Comey is or is not guilty of the charges? I know that they parade out all of these pundits. They have the great titles in the Chiron, former prosecutor, yada, yada, former FBI. Who's seen a single document that's in the possession right now of the DOJ? The answer is nobody. Right. Who has the crystal ball? Still nobody. I will tell you from my investigation, which I used Brian Karam, who's a 30-year White House correspondent, to speak to.
If you guys don't know who this is the guy, I think it's the lawyer or whoever or campaign finance manager who they indicted within 48 hours of having charged him for the crimes of Sonny Daniels and Donald Trump. So he's kind of giving his experience to how when the government wants to do something and find a crime against you, they're going to find it.
The people inside government because they wouldn't talk to me.
They will find it.
That Comey was actually very much involved in the Russia investigation in a very negative way. And chances are this DOJ has every single email, every text message, every communication. I believe likely he will be found guilty.
Oh, well, that's interesting because
I think he likely committed a crime.
Wait, what? What's
they were just so like, they're like, oh my God. Why is he going off script right now? You're like, wait, what?
I believe likely he will be found guilty.
Oh, well, that's interesting because
I think he likely committed a crime.
Wait, what?
I believe likely he committed a crime. I don't know what that crime is, but there are hundreds of thousands of documents, and government has each and every one of them. All they need to find is that one. And remember, see, James Comey, when he was the head of the FBI, he was so used to punching down. Well, now you have the FBI that's going to be punching up. I've been through this system. I know better than anybody what a weaponized DOJ looks like and feels like. It is insurmountable.
Didn't you actually break the law, though? With Stormy Daniels and the payment?
Well, it was a campaign finance violation. Is it any different than, for example, John?
Yeah, but isn't that what the law is supposed to do?
Let me say I did. I pled. I pled also under some very extreme circumstances. My entire case didn't last like everyone else's. It was 48 hours, either from a Friday to a Monday. Either I plead guilty or Southern District of New York was filing an 80-page indictment that included my wife. So before we get into we could relitigate the whole thing. But I believe that Comey likely will be found guilty.
Wow. That might be one of the greatest clips I've ever seen on MSDNC, right? On BS Now. Those panelists were stunned, right? They were like, what? What you really said on our network airwaves? That you think that Comey is going to be found guilty? They just couldn't believe it, right? They were stunned because, again, the talking point on that network is supposed to be, no, you don't understand. There's no chance that Comey will be found guilty. He didn't commit a crime, right? That's the psyop that these people are trying to play on the American people, which is that, hey, this is illegitimate because there's 0% chance that Comey will actually be found guilty. But as Michael Cohen laid out, we don't know what evidence the DOJ has. We don't even.
And plus, see, he's going to go over those documents that I just showed you. We'll let him speak for a sec.
If this is it in regards to what the DOJ is going after Comey for. So that leads me to this reporting here from Catherine Herridge, who is an actual real journalist, right? One of the rare journalists still out there, right? This is why she's no longer at CBS, because her journalism
they'll go through it more than
was
I
a
did,
propaganda,
maybe.
right? And because
I want to
she's
get to the
actually
next
reporting the
story
real
here
facts,
for the last
okay?
little bit.
That is why she was let go. So again, let's read some of her reporting, because she's saying that, hey, this is likely not the end for Comey here. She said,
yeah, I'm going to skip through this part because I already explained it. I went through the tweets. We don't need to sit through that again. But we are going to talk about this video from, I don't know who exactly it was from. It's from LFR Jojo, but I want to know the actual channel. Maybe we'll see in the midst of the video, because he didn't actually tag them. But it's a podcast with, it looks like left wing versus right wing women, and they're just trying to have a conversation. So I figure we should get into this a little bit, see if we can continue to talk, have our free speech. And there's a question that this lady, yeah, I think it's immigrant left wing people versus non-immigrant right wings. But a lady asked a good question, and I want to get to it, but we're gonna just watch it together. So let's go. Let's go.
That we hopefully are bridging the gap here, because I have nothing but love and respect for each and every one of you, and I wish nothing but good things for you.
During Trump's presidency.
Okay, so that's the prompt. Immigrants have been unfairly targeted during Trump's presidency.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one.
I don't have the details. It's like the questions like when the experts with ICE or with immigration or with some people who are on a right.
The immigration, it could be the illegal or legal. So, I mean, I'm an immigrant, but then I trying to be fit in America. So,
President Trump did so much to try to help DACA kids, but it was politically shot down by the Democrat Party. President Trump wants America to be safe for us. When 20 million people flood your country,
made it out there
all over the world, including the Middle East, including China, from Turkey. The UN had a treaty called the Third Safe Country Act.
So before we get too far in this video, I'm going to voice my issue with this. The initial question is the initial question was immigrants have been immigrants have been unfairly targeted during Trump's presidency. That's the statement. They're debating on the statement, seeing if they agree or disagree on the statement. We need to start prefacing this saying illegal immigrants or illegal immigrants or immigrants, because when you just say immigrants, some people are thinking about legal immigrants, the ones who are here legally, and some people are thinking about.
I guess we would have to make I don't know about you guys here. I guess I'll put a poll. I'll just put a poll, and the people who want to participate here real quick can participate. How can I put this question? Because there are people here who are undocumented. There are people here who are here legally. There's some people here who have overstayed their visas and haven't necessarily tried to renew them. So, do you believe all? Do you believe? I don't even know how I can make this a poll. It's more or less do you believe all people who are undocumented should be gone? Should we be thinking about it more? And or is it just you're illegal and you are illegal? And then also on top of that question is more or less, what do you do about the influx that we did have? It wasn't like that was lied about. We did have an influx, and they were just let in with not a lot of due process. It was just a give me your name, who you are. They could have lied, and they were given a court date. How do you get people out? Oh, wow. It went back 15 minutes. That's crazy. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to think about while we're watching this.
Illegal immigrants. And I just wish that it was prefaced to say illegal, or they were more specific with that statement. But anyways, we're going to see some of these women support Matt.
I know that was pretty jumbled, but I'm trying to say is, are you illegal because you don't have the official documents and you've been here for so long and you still don't have them? What do we do to help them? What do we do about the influx that's came here and we didn't necessarily have a due process with that because they were just let in and given a court date years later, knowing most people weren't going to show? So, or is it just you're illegal and all of you get out? What do we do? I just want to know your guys's. What do we do?
They're Make America Great Again. They support Trump 100%.
I'll say I don't agree with just let them all stay. Some people got to go. Some people got to go.
Some are immigrants. They didn't really specify the immigrants' political beliefs. But anyways, let's get into it.
That if you were in danger in your country, you were allowed to go as a refugee, the first country out of 3 countries that would be safe. People weren't doing that. They were flying into Colombia, coming up through the Darien Gap, which used to be a pristine jungle in the Amazon that is now littered with decomposed bodies. So if you're into climate change, there's about 60 tons of trash down there too. But they were coming through the Darien Gap, paying coyotes, being raped, being murdered. And then they had to pay the cartels up to $18,000 to cross our border. So a lot of these migrants living in our country now from those 4 years are working as slaves.
Yeah.
In servitude to pay the cartels back.
Hold on.
Question.
Yeah.
I say we implement a program called Alien vs. Predator. Tag and bag 5 predators. PDFs. Sorry, YouTube. And so as long as you don't have violent criminal records from your home country, then boom. You're thinking too much, bro. Take your tin hat off today, bro. Chill.
And to the question, are they being targeted unfairly? Immigrants being here?
I don't think so.
I think the media is to blame for that, because it's just like it just gets really sensitized, emotionalized, and I'm like, to your point, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not in there. Yeah, I don't feel, But then again, maybe because I don't have my accent, people think I'm American. I don't know.
I feel a target because I have an accent, and people think like, I don't like when people ask those questions like, oh, did you cross the border, or did you come here legally? Like, if I'm here and in a media outlet, yes, because if I was out of status, I would never come here, because then I would be like a huge target, right? I think with the immigration right now is targeting legal and also illegal immigrants, and that's my point. We all feel a target because we don't fit in or we don't blend in.
Courts are making a mess of things. It's trying to sort out. That's the thing. They don't really get to court at all. Especially the last few years, and they were just letting people in. I bet you what one of those people are going to show up now? I can agree with that. But at the same time, we still, how can I put it? Why is it fair that they can leave a country that they can't walk into the way they came in here, and then they can walk into here and just like, oh, I only committed just a misdemeanor, but it's like your first act of walking into here was committing a crime. Like, At the end of the day, like, your first act was that. Go through a port of entry. There's a lot of people who are waiting in their home country for a decision to move here. They didn't just say, oh, I'm just going to walk in and deal with me. Because now we have to deal with them. Violent history or not, we have to deal with them. Figure out where they're going to go. Figure out if they can stay here. We got to give them resources for this, even though they could have paid their dues like the other people who have to wait. Because a lot of them aren't coming, and like almost 99% of the asylum cases aren't actually asylum. It's just people wanting to come for a better future, and I understand that. But yeah, we don't need a physically violent, aggressive system. That is true. But that's why I states the question, what do we do? Because a lot of people disagree with what's going on right now, but what do we do? On the alternative, we had the last 4 years of Biden. They took away Title 42. They created an app to let people come in and seek asylum. Wasn't very well. There was a lot of reported issues of sex trafficking. And then now we have under the Trump administration, there's not a lot of people coming. There's not a lot of sex trafficking that we know of, allegedly, because no one believes anything. But then on the other hand, like you're saying, it's physically and aggressive. It's physical and aggressive. Yeah, you're right. Because right now it seems like you either just let them in and maybe let the system decide, or it's the system's not going to decide, so we're going to be physically forceful about it. There's no like middle ground here. That's what I'm saying. That was scary, because if you caught my stream last night, I literally have talked about the southern border. Sorry, I can't talk with this in my mouth. It makes me dry. Let's drink some water. All right. So the southern border, Sarah Adams, the CIA targeter former that I talked about, was saying Al-Qaeda, which America says doesn't exist anymore, does exist in Afghanistan. And I've also seen a video. Exactly. Removed all middle grounds. And I've also seen a video of another targeter who's still in the system. They wouldn't even show her face. She was saying the Al-Qaeda is still prevalent in Afghanistan. Yeah, you're right, Bear. But yeah, Al-Qaeda is still in Afghanistan, along with the Taliban and along with ISIS. And then we've also been hearing reports of Trump and other officials saying that there have been a lot of security and national security risk at the border. The Democrats said no. But then we have intelligence agents at the other hand saying, no, this is true. And the Russians are helping them. So who do we believe? Or should we rather just look into the security threat instead of just, oh, you're racist and you're inhumane and blah, 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 blah. We have to know who these people are. Hell yeah, they still exist, Bear. Absolutely, they still exist. And that's like one of the things I'm like better at talking about. Like I'm like the more politic news, like this stuff of war and the war on terror and stuff. Like we want to talk about that, chat. We can get into that one of these days on stream. Like I'll get into it. I'll show you guys this stuff is real. This stuff is scary. Like they're coming for us. I'm not trying to sound cynical, but they're coming for us. We spent the last 20 years in their country. Remember that. We spent the last 20 years in their country. You think they're not mad? You think the little low-level guy that we locked up back then for 20 years and then he gets out at the end of the war, you think he's not mad? Exactly. We can't but that's my point. It's like we're so spread out. We're here, Ukraine, Israel, we're in Africa, but chat. We need to be worrying about our power grid. We need to be worrying about our cybersecurity. We need to be worrying about, I know they say affordable housing, but it's not even that. It's just, I can't sit here and say I know a way past this economic problem, because I feel like it's so secretive that even one president can't solve the economic problem. It's so entrenched. You get what I'm saying? It's too entrenched. I may sound like a conspiracy, but it's too entrenched. One president's not going to fix our economic crisis. Well, now, Bear, you gotta. If you don't move from there in a while, you gotta take up the mantle. Gotta make sure it's all right every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? That's actually pretty serious. Because that's the thing with this electric vehicle stuff. Our power grid can't handle that. Anyways, we got off topic, but what I'm just saying is everything is not as it seems. We got to use our minds. We got to think up here for a little bit. Not everything is a conspiracy.
Especially, I don't look like a white American. I look from outside, right? I look up.
So, talking about her point, and she probably was stereotyped. I'm sure she was.
That's what I'm saying, Tina. He better be out there every other week
in America. You can't even lie. No matter what color you are or what gender you are, you've probably been stereotyped before. I can bet my hoodie that you've been stereotyped. However, the initial statement, we can't forget what the initial statement was, is that immigrants have been unfairly targeted during Trump's presidency, meaning that people are going out their way during Trump's presidency, implying that Trump and his cabinet are are targeting immigrants unfairly. I don't think her statement.
I don't know if they'll be able to see the chat when I repost this, but from what Bears has said, even then, our rivers are. Let's not denigrate our American SWIC units. They'll be there pretty quick. If you don't know what a SWIC unit is, I guess I gotta put it on screen just because I just decided to go on a freaking tangent again. Sorry, I'm gonna do this a lot. I'm a tangent type of person. If I start talking about something, I want to show you what I'm talking about. SWIC unit right here. These dudes right here, they patrol the sea. I wanted to be one of them one day. They're the same as Navy SEALs. They have to go through the same training, but at the end of like Hell Week and all those things, they kind of have the same. They just you're either going to be a SEAL or SWIC when you choose, and then. Yeah, I go on tangents, bro. Like I don't like to just talk about shit and not know what I'm talking about. So I'll go to Google and we'll go on a tangent. But yeah, these dudes, they're badass. I don't know if you've seen the SWIC in Act of Valor. It's crazy. That scene, oh my gosh. They came through and it was like tangent.
A successful shindig doesn't happen by accident.
Not everything needs to be so serious and political over here. Like we're hanging out.
Girl, you're locked in.
But I like to give you guys a
Walmart
news,
Plus
so we
members
can-
get
I
to
like
choose
let
which
you guys
video
talk
streaming
about
service we want.
No, I meant
It's included, so I
We
can watch
going
what I
on a
want.
tangent real quick, guys.
Well, who knew?
Oh my gosh! Become a
like
member.
Oprah.
Who knows better? Walmart Plus.
So they were all right. I gotta give you a backline. So they went to go get this girl named Alex Morales. She was a CIA girl. She got captured. They got her. Things started going haywire, and then they started shooting at her. And then, well, she was already shot up. Well, she was shot up. They drilled her in the hand. And then the SEALs are trying to get away. One of them shot up, and they're trying to get to the extract, and they had to get to the extract to where they had to get bailed out by the SWIC. No, such a good scene. We have to go on that tangent. But since we're on the tangent right now, it had one of my favorite quotes or poems. You leaving? Cool. Mom's leaving, chat.
Before he died, your father
One of
asked
my
me to give you
favorite
this
songs.
poem by
Watch
Tecumseh.
this.
I told him.
Oh, look at that. It's me. That's funny. But anyways, that ties into everything we're talking about. Free speech, respecting others, etc., etc. Oh my goodness, we've almost gone through everything I wanted to talk about today. I don't want to leave you guys yet. I guess we can get into our last little thing here then. A last little thing. Apparently, the government's supposed to shut down on Tuesday. This is like our last little. Actually, give me a second. Because I said we would. I have the hiccups because of this stupid Zen. I said that we would look in to see about the press conference. But then I just saw something I really want to watch since we're already on this military theme. And I can't find anything about the press conference. So I guess they didn't film it yet. So basically, we're going to do this, and then we're going to watch this last scene of this military crap. Let's get into it. The government's supposed to shut down. Apparently, the Democrats are trying to stand on their heels because they're upset, but then they let the big, beautiful bill get passed. So now they're trying to say that they want things taken out of it, or they want the government to shut down on Tuesday. Yet they let things get taken out of it, which doesn't make any sense at all. Because why would you even let it pass? Why would you guys vote on it to let it pass and then be like, oh, it's the Republicans' fault? Okay, so anywho. It says starting Wednesday. Well, I guess it would be voted on Tuesday. And if they don't vote, then Wednesday, I guess it will start. But they want to they want them to bring back the healthcare funding, and they want them to stop firing people and bring them back. And basically, Trump is saying he doesn't want to do that, and they don't want to negotiate anymore. And if they don't want to negotiate on good faith, which is the stuff that they let go when they all voted before, so why are we talking about it again now if you're not just trying to cause destruction? So yeah, Trump's saying he's going to fire people and lay people off because we don't have enough money to pay for it. Anyways, let's watch this freaking scene from Lone Survivor, and then I'm going to end the stream. Because what? It's almost been 2 hours. So we're going to watch this scene because it's freaking sick. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't want to sit you guys in silence. So I'm going to go through the painstaking of removing, add to stage, no, remove, stop screen sharing. I do this every time so I make sure you guys hear. It bother me if you can't. And then I didn't know. Like when DirectD came in here, I didn't even know you guys couldn't hear me. I was talking. I was going through my stuff. All right. By the way, these Zens aren't bad for when you're just sitting on stream and you don't want to like smoke on stream and stuff. It's not bad. I'm not promoting it. It's nicotine. But hey, it's not bad. But let's watch this. Probably one of my favorite scenes. In case you didn't know, it's from the book Lone Survivor with Marcus Luttrell. There's a lot of misconceptions about it, but I just like the film, so I don't even want to get into that. But he is in Congress. I don't know if he's a senator or if he's in Congress. Or he was.